Hello, my name is Sarah Jane Steele with Do Yoga With Me. This is one of my favorite practices. It's yin yoga for the shoulders. So we'll be focusing on opening up across the front of the chest and the shoulder joint as well as the back. Some things that you're going to want to have with you is a chair nearby or your sofa. And also a block if you have one. If you don't, you can just use a Kleenex box. A blanket and a bolster if you have one. If you don't have a bolster, you can learn how to make one on our tutorials that we have on the site here, and you can also use pillows. Enjoy the practice. We're starting this practice in seated position. We are drawing our spines tall, so careful not to press your chest forward, but rather think about reaching up through the crown of the head. Hands on the lap. You can also have your hands in Anjali Mudra if you wish. Close your eyes. We're going to practice the yin style of breath. Yin is more introspective. We don't need to create fire in the belly or constriction at the back of the throat. You inhale through your nose. You exhale through your nose, but you try to lengthen the exhale. So some like to think of breathing in for 3 and breathing out for 5. As you finish the exhale, you actually hold the breath anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Breathing in for 3, out for 5, holding your breath. So you'll continue on in this way throughout the practice. The only time it's contraindicated is if you do have a issue with blood pressure, any sort of respiratory issues. You don't want to be retaining the breath on an inhalation or exhalation. Otherwise, this is a very conducive style of breath for yin. Allow the eyes to open. Keep maintaining that same style of breath as we uncross the legs. Bring ourselves around to the knees position. You're going to bring your behind back towards your knees. Knees can be separated or together. You may find it a little bit easier if they're wider apart. And you're going to extend your arms out fairly wide, so wider than your traditional balasana. This is called anahastasana, which means melting the heart pose. With the arms wide, you're going to press your chest bone down towards the floor. You can come onto the top of the head if you like, or you can place a blanket underneath your forehead or your chin. Settle into that for a moment, just focusing on letting all the muscles in the chest drop down in between the gate of the arms here. We will be here for 3 minutes, so if you notice that it's too strenuous on your shoulders to have both arms stretching over the head, you can either use one arm at a time, and I'll let you know when we're halfway through so you can switch arms. Or you can extend your arms out to the side a bit more if you actually want to go deeper. Either way, the only thing that's moving in this posture is your breath. You can close your eyes. If you do leave them open, you can just let them be open very gently. Where you should be feeling this stretch is across the chest muscles, and then wrapping around the front of your arm bones back to the very top of your shoulders, so the space in between your shoulder blades is also getting a little bit of gentle stress, but you shouldn't be feeling sharp or electric pain. And if this is one of your first times doing a yin practice, just know that we keep the body in this position for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Today we're just doing 3. And just putting that gentle stress on the deep, dark parts of the muscles or the fascia is what actually adds greater elasticity, greater movement. So while you're not moving really rigorously like you would in a yang class, you're doing a lot of really deep intrinsic work on the fascia and the joints, just by staying still and breathing. If you were just extending one arm, you can go ahead and bring that arm in and extend the opposite arm. And even when you don't hear the teacher's voice, just trust that I'll safely guide you out of the posture when it's time to leave it. So just let your mind focus on the sensations you're feeling. And let your breath take that shape of inhaling to fullness, exhaling to complete empty lungs, and then holding the breath out just for a moment before inhaling in again. And in the last half minute of the posture, you may want to just envision that your heart is 10 pounds, very heavy, and it's just really descending down towards the ground, opening up through the heart, through the chest and through the shoulders. Safely come out of this posture, really spread your fingers wide. Now extend both arms over the head if one arm was drawn in. Push into your first finger and thumb and just come onto the forehead if you haven't already, just to release the neck. You can squeeze the neck muscles a little bit to release them. And then walk your hands back towards you, slowly lifting the head above the heart. Whenever we drop the head below the heart, we can get dizzy, so just slowly bringing yourself back up. The next thing you'll need is your couch or a chair. And if you do have a block, then fantastic. If you don't have a block, then a Kleenex box will do just fine. So you may need to reorient yourself, but you want to be facing the couch or the chair on your knees. You can support your knees with a blanket if you need to. And then you're going to perch both of your elbows about shoulder distance apart. And then hold on to the Kleenex box or hold on to the block. You may need to readjust your hips accordingly, so that you're moving your chest away and your elbows are just on the edge of the chair or the couch. From here, you can just start to drop your head down in between the gate of the biceps here. And then lightly press on your block so you feel what it feels like to have the muscles working in a more yang way. So you feel the biceps and the triceps working. But on your next breath out, you're going to let those muscles go. You're going to feel the weight of the chest dropping down. And the sensation that you'll feel is that the long arm bone, the humerus that goes into your shoulder, is starting to kind of stretch away from where it inserts at the joint, but you shouldn't feel that it's unstable, that there's any sharp pain. And if you do feel that, you need to lift your head up a little bit more and have less stress on the joint. If you know you can go deeper, you can slide your chair further away or walk your hips further away from the couch and drop your head completely down in space, which will usually elicit a far deeper exhale because this is where the stretch goes deeper, and we're only going to be in here in this stretch for about another 30 seconds. Focus on just letting the hips become heavy, all the muscles of the behind heavy. just enjoy silence and breath. Space between the shoulder blades as you just let that chest drop forward and down. And then to guide yourself out safely, press your hands onto the sides of your block. Slowly lift the head up in between the gate of the arms. Extend the block or extend the arms out. Lift your bum up. And that one is deep, so it's very deep for the shoulders. You can work out a little bit of the tension that you might be feeling by mobilizing your arms, so you can bring the arms out to the side and just move them around in circles. Go forward, go back. See if you feel there's a little bit more space now in the joint of the shoulder. And then take your fingertips to the tips of your shoulders. Bring your inner elbows towards your midline. Swing the elbows up towards the ceiling. Breathe in, and then breathe out as they come back and down. It's quite normal for you to get a couple clicks or creaks and groans in the shoulders, but you shouldn't feel that there's a lot of clunking happening in the shoulder. If that happens, then you need to decrease your range of movement. So instead of going really big and full, you can just make little small circles, draw circles with the elbows, and then go back to front. And after one more rotation, just breathe out as your hands fall down. Okay. There are two options for the next posture we're going to do, which is now more for the front of the chest as the collarbones connect into the shoulder. If you have a bolster, fantastic. If not, then you can use just a pillow horizontally behind you. Place both feet on the ground and bring your hips forward so that the base of the bolster or the pillow is at the very bottom of the back of your ribs, right around your floating rib. Once you've connected with the base of the rib, you can start to lean back, and you want the tops of your shoulders to come quite close down towards the ground. And you can have your arms out to the sides, bent at 90 degrees, or extending back behind your head. If you have a healthy back, you can extend your legs out. If you need some extra support for your lower back, then your knees will stay bent with your feet on the floor. You can also have your arms out to the side. In yin, you will find that you don't need to structurally align yourself as much as in yang, so don't worry so much about the form that you're taking. Think about the function, and you should be able to feel this across the collarbones as they insert into your shoulder joint. So if you're not quite feeling it there, arms up or arms down. We're going to be here for another full 3 minutes. If you've done this practice before, or if you have quite an open chest and shoulders, then you may want to bend your knees, roll yourself onto your side, and I'm going to show you a deeper option. So roll the knees over to the side to come up. Anyone that's comfortable where they are, of course, you stay in the posture. The more progressed version is taking a block. Also to the very base of the ribs, it's a deeper upper back bend shoulder opener. Legs extend out, Savasana legs. Arms extending back or down by your sides. And you're going to feel a huge lift through the center of your chest, which will help your shoulder bones draw back and down. Lengthen your next exhale, suspend the breath as you empty your lungs, and deepen into the posture. And as you breathe here, just realize what it is that you are working on, what you're opening up. And in this instance, you're opening up all the connective tissue that connects in and around where the arm bone inserts into your shoulder joint. This can get tight from always having your arms forward in the workplace, from picking up or lifting things, from the way we sleep. So you're actually working on just gently tearing all those really tight fascia bundles that are around inflamed parts of the joint and creating space. Enjoy the silence and the depth of this posture for about another 10 breaths. If you want to deepen it a little bit further, arms go back and behind the head, you grab opposite elbows. Lengthen out your last exhalation and just have an awareness that the posture is ending. So you can bring your arms back down by your sides. We need to really carefully ease our way out of this one because we're quite elevated through our mid-spine. So bring your knees into a bend with your feet flat on the floor, and you may need to tuck your tailbone ever so slightly under. Just start to drop your knees slightly to the side as you push your feet into the ground and lift up to remove the block or the bolster, and then completely curl around yourself as you lie on your side. Really drawing your knees up into your chest. And then when it feels good to move, safe to move, press yourself up to Sukhasana or easy seated pose. The objective in this posture is to get your spine as tall as you can, so if you need to elevate your sitting bones and bring your hips above your knees, that's fine. We're going to come into Garudasana, or the eagle arms. So just extend your arms out in front of you. You're going to drop your left arm underneath your right. Take the fingers of your left hand into the palm of your right. If that's not accessible for you, then you're just going to go ahead and give your body a hug. So fingers hugging the shoulder tips. Pressing the fingers into the palm, you begin to reach your fingertips up towards the ceiling, which for most, that starts quite a good stretch at the back of the shoulders. But if you're not quite feeling that, if you've got lots of mobility, but you know you want to open up a bit more, you're going to actually press your spine that's in the middle of the shoulder blades, the thoracic spine, towards the wall behind you as you're pressing your fingers up. And if you're not feeling that, then your shoulders are open enough and you don't even need to be doing this practice. Most people feel this. The fingers leaning away from the face as the shoulders press towards the wall behind you. And because this is a very deep posture, we're only going to hold it for about another 30 seconds. So do focus on emptying the lungs on the breath out, holding the breath and the breath out for about 3 seconds, and then inhaling in. Just envisioning all of the good chi between the shoulder blades now. All the space for energy to move. Maybe inhale and take your body just a bit more to the limit, fingers a bit higher, shoulder blades pressing a bit further back. You're going to exhale out as you take all the energy out of the posture, elbows down, untwine the arms. Bring the arms down by your sides, roll out your shoulders. And just feel that palpable space that you've got now between the shoulder blades. Before coming to the other side, The arms are extending out in front of you. This time it's the right arm underneath the left, fingers of the right hand going into the palm of the left. Just beginning with pressing the elbows into each other, starting to feel how you're pulling that space between the shoulder blades. Then you begin to lean the hands away from the face, raise them to the ceiling, press the shoulder blades towards the wall behind you so the thoracic spine is rounding. And just really feeling the essence of yin, which is healing the body. We're not moving and trying to strengthen or stretch the muscles in a way that's going to create flexibility. We're actually trying to heal the joints in those tight areas, which in turn will help with our yang practices. Feel if you are carrying tension anywhere else. Just by virtue of the fact that you're lifting the arm bones up, you might be lifting your knees up and away from the floor. Can you sink your hips deeper, release the knees more? Can you release your jaw, let the bottom jaw kind of unhinge from the top, let the teeth unclench, soften the space between your eyebrows. So that when you start to feel that buildup of tension, you can loosen all the muscles around where we're working. And just feel the body de-stressing, even in a state of deep opening. The last breath, you may wish to inhale and bring the fingertips higher, press the shoulder blades further towards the wall behind you. And then go ahead and exhale as your elbows come down, untwist the hands, untwist the arms, roll up the shoulders. You can make an audible sigh if you need to, it's quite deep. And then you can bring the arm bones back and front. You can round your spine if you like. Once you feel that you've got a little bit of more space and more mobility, then you can uncross. You're going to bring yourself back around to your knees. If you need to extend your legs out for a moment, of course, you can go upside down and do a downward facing dog. You can extend your knees a little bit before bringing them into bent position. All you require is your body for this next one. Start with your knees quite close together, feet quite close together, and then bring your chest down so it's laying on the thighs, with the behind pressing back towards the heels. So you're in Balasana, child's pose. You're going to ground down through your left elbow. Your left fingers are spread wide, and you're going to inhale your right arm up towards the ceiling. So you get a nice opening across the chest. If this feels good enough for you to just take your hand down to the back, you can do that. If you have a lot of flexibility in the shoulders, you want to go deeper, then the right hand is going to go onto the inside of the thigh. So you can just lift your behind enough to get the hand onto the inside of the thigh. Then we begin to extend out the left arm that's on the floor. Lay the forehead either straight down on the mat or back of the head on the shoulder. And we twist. So we're rotating to open up the front of the deltoid muscle, front of the shoulder joint. You're here for 1 minute of breath. Heaviness in the hips. Rotation in the spine from the middle up to right where the neck spine begins. And every inhalation you're taking, you're playing with rotating the front side of your chest up. And as you deepen that exhale and you hold the breath, you pause in that place. So you're really going part to whole. And while a lot of us know that we don't have a set of lungs in our joints, you're going to take your breath, breathe fully so that you actually feel like it's moving right up into the front of that shoulder joint. There's an option to press into your hand that's on the floor and twist your entire chest up for this last breath in. And then as you breathe out, you take the energy out of the muscle completely, out of the joint completely. Unwind the arm or take it off the small of the back. You can twinkle your fingers if you've lost any sensation. Slowly bring the arm down and bring yourself to the other side. So you're now extending out your right arm. And you can prop yourself on the elbow just to help you do that rotation up to the left arm. Opening up through the chest, heavy hips. And you're taking the hand onto the small of the back. You can grab onto your pants, or you're lifting the hips just enough that you can insert that left hand onto the inner thigh, and then you're resting down again. Perhaps getting a little bit more comfortable with how introspective this practice can be. You can start to say, gee, I never knew how restricted I was through my shoulder. I am going to send my breath there. And this is how our bodies heal. Every breath in, you explore the option of just rolling your chest open a bit more. Every breath out, you settle into that space. And you think about the function. The function is to create more space at the very front of that shoulder joint capsule. And the exhale is to meditate on that, to be still. To intensify, to go deeper, to go right down into the center of that joint. You may wish to really press into the arm that's extended on the floor, or press into the elbow. Roll all the way up with the chest, so the front of the head of the shoulder is rotating right up towards your ceiling. And then you go ahead and exhale as you take all of the energy out of the pose. Back down onto the forehead, unweave the arms, slowly bring the arm back over the head. Press into your elbows to just lift the head above the heart. And then you get to enjoy resting in Savasana to let the body completely recover from the practice. You can take a bolster if you like in the horizontal position, the way I was showing you earlier, or you can take it straight behind you in vertical, so the short end of a bolster. Or you can have a pillow underneath your shoulder blades or underneath your head. Hips go forward. The midline of the spine is laying down on the bolster. Arms are extending out to the side, legs extending out so that we completely lengthen out the base of the spine here. And the purpose of Savasana is to give the body time to absorb or receive and notice the practice you've just done. It's just as still as the yin poses that we've been exploring, but now there's literally no effort. Now you can really uncrease the space between the eyebrows. You can really release and unhinge your jaw. You can just notice the expansion of your ribs as your diaphragm compresses on the inhale, and then how those ribs shrink and sink down towards the ground on the exhale. will stay in Shavasana for about 2 minutes today, but you can stay longer. And now the breath has no shape. Now you're not worrying about lengthening your exhale and holding the breath at the end of exhalation. You are just simply feeling the breath move in and watch it emptying out. And what we've done is we've awoken a life force in our body. So we're letting yin energy or yin qi create more space for prana to move in our body. Prana is life force, and we all have it. So as your body drops further down, just feel that vitality and force that's radiating out of your right and left sides of your chest, through your shoulder bones, out through your fingertips. And now you can deepen the breath. Now when you inhale, you're bringing it all the way down to the very bottom of your belly, right down into the pelvis. And then when you exhale, emptying out. A couple of more times. Drop your head left and right. We're ending Shavasana, so we bring each knee into a bend, feet flat on the floor. Tuck your tailbone under to relieve the back if you need to. Drop onto your side. Roll off your bolster. Having one more moment of quiet introspection. And your top hand comes down onto the floor. Guide yourself up to seated position. Cross-legged, spine tall, hands in Anjali Mudra, so really joining the right and left sides of our body. Closing the eyes, lifting through the crown of the head. Breathing in and out to acknowledge this time you've taken for yourself and for your practice of yoga. Thank you. Namaste.